Good morning, everybody. We will begin the webinar now. My name is Sarah. I am the Events and Programs Coordinator for the Burnaby Board of Trade. And before we start, I would like to take a moment to recognize that we are on the ancestral and unceded homelands of the Hunkaminam and Skokomish speaking peoples, and to extend an appreciation for the opportunity to hold a meeting on this territory. For over 15 years, the Burnaby Board of Trade has been the leading chamber of commerce on environmental sustainability issues, and the Climate Sustainability in Business program houses the BBOT's continued work to promote environmental sustainability in the business community. This program is sponsored by a number of organizations which help make this work possible, and I will share who they are in a moment. At the platinum level, we have Parkland Corporation, and at the gold level, we have ABC Recycling, Alexander College, BCIT School of Business and Media, Electronic Arts, Hemlock Printers, and Simon Fraser University. And as always, I'd like to thank our annual partners, who are those organizations who stand out as top corporate citizens in Burnaby and support our work throughout the year. And you can see their logos on the screen now. We really appreciate all the help from all of our members and sponsors. At this event, we will hear from Stantec's Glynis Middleton on the funding opportunities available for your business and sustainability journey. You'll learn about incentive tax credits, grants, subsidies, and low or no-cost loan programs from multiple levels of government that can benefit you. Glynis Middleton, Senior Funding Leader, is one of the founders of Stantec's North America Funding Program, which closes the gap between project planning and implementation through funding for Stantec's clients. Glynis is a Queen's MBA and Fellow of the Institute of Certified Management Consultants, who focuses on development and finance in private and public organizations. Glynis has influenced billions of dollars through development funding, economic impact analysis, and planning in a wide variety of sectors, including arts and culture, banking, commercial and institutional construction, health, information systems, municipal planning, non-for-profit, fabricating, oil and gas, retail, telecommunications, and urban development. Glynis, I will hand it off to you to begin.
That's a very long list. Hello, good morning. I'm so grateful to be here, and I have the pleasure and privilege of speaking to you. I'm currently in Vancouver, in town for some conference attendance and some other speaking engagements, and so I'm just really glad to be here with you, speaking about funding for small and medium-sized enterprise. So let me share my slides, and you can let me know if there's any difficulty seeing those slides. And I'm loading.
They're all good. They're all there.
Excellent. Excellent. Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sarah, and thank you to my colleague Shannon for inviting me to speak to you today. At Stantec, we often start with our inclusion and diversity moment. For today's inclusion moment, I wanted to express how grateful I am to be learning and growing and serving from Treaty 6 territory, which has been the traditional lands and gatherings place for diverse Indigenous peoples, including the Cree, Blackfoot, Métis, Nakota, Sioux, Iroquois, Dene, Ojibwe, Saulteaux, Anishinaabe, Inuit, and many, many others. I'm also the mother of Métis children, whose great-grandparents Moira and Pascal McGillis homesteaded just west of my home in Edmonton. And those folks were the children of the Red River Métis settlements. So I honor all my relations. Hi, hi. You may be asking, what is this North America Funding Program that was in my introduction? And NAFP, as we fondly refer to it, is about helping our clients advance their projects through funding services. And we're all about matchmaking project opportunities to the best fit, non-dilutive public funding dollars available through all levels of government and private funders. The NAFP team includes over 200 funding specialists across Canada and the US. Together, we have secured and the number continues to climb, just over $10 billion in grants and loans, and we've dealt with hundreds of programs leveraged to advance client projects. Our teams work across business lines and geographies. I'm here to share some of the insights derived from this work, how those insights may apply to your business enterprise, and we're going to play a little bit. So I'm looking forward to sharing some hyperlinks and some tools that you may or may not have encountered before. What we do. Funding can and should be integral to planning and project development. The funding process includes funding assessment and strategy, where we analyze and identify key fundable characteristics, as in what needs to be funded, early stage capital requirements, as in how much needs to be funded, and the project development stage, as in when do we need this to be funded. Once we understand a project or portfolio's funding needs, one can complete the research and funding market analysis to uncover and prioritize funding opportunities that best fit the project application. Funding applications can be challenging and time-consuming. Funding application takes tasks aimed to provide compelling narrative and thorough answers to the program's application requirements. It's part science and part art. Funding compliance, however, comes into play once the money has been awarded. One needs to be aware that by entering a funding agreement, there's a contractual requirement to deploy the money as outlined in your application and agreement, and to demonstrate those outcomes, meet the funder's expectations, again, as outlined in the funding agreement. Worst case scenario is when failure to meet the compliance expectations results in the funds not being dispersed. Best case is when you meet the obligation of your agreement and far exceed the expected outcomes. This often leads to subsequent funding arrangements with the funder and continued success in your project or program. So to take a little bit of a step into the world of what we know, current funding policies and funding opportunities for small, medium-sized enterprise in Canada, and that is defined by revenue up to $500 million per year. The policy priorities that you see listed continue to underscore the climate change plans and targets by investing in energy efficiency and fuel switching in Canada, infrastructure and building sectors. To meet economic and environmental objectives, the federal government has, in its last three budgets, 21, 22, and 23, announced its policy objectives in its federal sustainable development strategy. Federal policy priorities include helping set the stage for a resilient building sector composed of net zero carbon buildings powered by clean electricity and more green jobs. That's a quote directly from our annex on homes and buildings. The other priorities include fostering innovation and green infrastructure in Canada, according to Goal 9 of the Federal Sustainable Development Strategy. For Canada's funding landscape, we've collected a sample of 4 funding opportunities driving infrastructure and buildings projects today. And in spite of the 2024 budget that was delivered last month, all of these programs continue. And I'm just going to share a little bit about each one. The Energy Innovation Program, EIP, is managed by the Office of Energy Research and Development, ORD, and administered by Natural Resources Canada. This is a federal government grant program in Canada that supports research, development, and demonstration projects for clean energy technologies. The program aims to help Canada meet its climate change targets while supporting the transition to a low-carbon future. Through the Strategic Innovation Fund, SIF, that's been around for many years, this is administered by Innovation, Science and Economic Development, or ISED, and is a federal government program that's allocated $1.5 billion of its existing resources towards clean tech, critical minerals, and industrial transformation projects. ISED-led SIF has also been directed to allocate $500 million over 10 years to support clean tech development and adoption. The Low Carbon Economy Fund, administered by Environment and Climate Change Canada, or ECCC, is a $2 billion fund that supports projects to reduce Canada's greenhouse gas emissions, generate clean growth, build resilient communities, and create good jobs for Canada. The fund is integral to the Pan-Canadian Framework on Clean Growth and Climate Change, which aims to meet or exceed Canada's Paris Agreement commitments. There's a little bit of history behind that one, and I'm happy to answer questions at the end of the presentation, and I'm happy to come back to this context around our Paris Agreement commitments. And the fourth item, the Can Export SME program provides direct financial assistance to small and medium-sized enterprises registered in Canada to help them develop new export opportunities and markets, especially markets where high growth is anticipated. This program is delivered by the Trade Commissioner Service of Global Affairs Canada and provides financial support for a wide range of export development activities. I'm also going to talk about the Green and Inclusive Community Buildings Fund. This program was developed by Infrastructure Canada Department to support green and accessible retrofits, repairs, upgrades, and new buildings for public company buildings. It's interesting to note that in the last iteration of intake, the program was open to individuals and for-profit organizations, but not public organizations. What we are anticipating in the next intake is that public buildings, so municipal, civic buildings, will likely be included. So the competition for this program has continued to be very large. It's aimed to improve existing community buildings and construct new ones to benefit Canadians across the country, including Quebec, where discussions are ongoing between the Government of Canada and Quebec regarding the implementation of this program. Although closed to applications at the moment, we are continuing to monitor, and AFP is continuing to monitor the awards and possible renewal of this heavily subscribed program. And lastly, the recent Budget 2024 announcements made on April 16th informed the federal funding landscape for 2024 and beyond. These programs reflect unprecedented funding to support energy transition and climate resilience, targets Canada has committed to accelerating through 2030. So, small, medium-sized enterprise. There are tools. In the following slides, we will walk through some of those tools available to support your business growth, innovation, and cash flow. I plan to discuss the 2024 Federal Survey on Financing and Growth of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, the Federal Business Benefits Finder, and the National Research Council's Industrial Research Assistance Program and Management Advisory Services. These programs, in addition to, I will talk about these programs, and I'll also turn my attention to speaking about tax credits, what they are, the types that are available, and where they apply. So, the SME sustainability tools that continue to be of value. This survey is ongoing and is being collected by StatsCan. The survey will collect information on the types of financing businesses use, on their current growth opportunities and obstacles facing businesses. Those results from this survey will guide policy change and programs. It's intended to assist businesses and measure industry performance. So I encourage this audience to share their pain points and opportunities with the federal government. Your information may also be used by Statistics Canada for other statistical and research purposes. So there are contact information on the screen. You can email infostats@statcan.gc.ca, or you can call the number 1-877-949-9492 to get on the invite list. I'm not paid by our federal government to develop or to deliver these programs, but these are tools available to the business community, and I just really encourage this audience to participate in the conversation. So the second tool that I love to reference. Have you ever wondered what federal money and programs are available to support your business? The Business Benefits Finder is a web portal where you can create your own business story and be led to the opportunities available to support your business. I'd love to walk through this together, and so I'm hoping that my share screen will continue to. Let me just do it correctly, and then we'll be good to go. Go through my screen. And here we are. Sarah, you can tell me if that is visible
It
to the
is
participants.
visible.
Excellent, excellent. So
Glynis,
this is a, yes.
Could you speak up just a little bit?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm in this intimate space in front of my computer, so thank you for the prompt. I will speak a little bit louder.
Thank you.
What I love, no worries. Thank you. Business Benefits Finder. This is a tool, a portal that any Canadian enterprise can access. And it developed in order to tell your story. So I'm going to just make sure that I'm doing this live with you. It may not be working today because I'm sharing my screen. I wanted to do this live. Let's do that again. Thanks for your patience with me. Yeah. It's not live today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right,
No
I'm going to go
worries.
back. I'm going to go back to my screen, and I apologize that there are all kinds of pop-ups happening for me. All right, back to the slide. This Business Benefits Finder allows you to tell a story. It allows you to indicate, I'm looking for, and you enter the type of business that you would be looking, or the industry that you're looking for. You can indicate whether you're looking for funding, expert advice, resources, research, any number of things. And then you drill down and you start telling the story of how much you're looking for, how many employees your organization has. You can look for a specific funding priorities, or you can simply say, I'm looking for X amount of dollars. I'm so sorry that the Business Benefit Finder, as of today, is not live, and so I'm really apologetic because it's one of my favorite tools, and it's very helpful for allowing a business owner, a business developer, or a organization to start framing their story around what they're looking for, what are the benefits that they're hoping to secure through that exploration, and how much that they're looking for. And the business benefits finder will do the scrubbing of all of the government's programs and services to give you a detailed list of those opportunities. So sad, so sad. All right, we're going to keep going. Another tool that I absolutely dearly love is the National Research Council's Industrial Research Assistance Program. IRAP provides a non-repayable contribution to develop, adopt, or adapt new or improved technologies at any stage of innovation. IRAP funds up to $10 million to cover up to 75% of eligible costs, and you can stack with other government funding programs up to 75% maximum. As long as your business is a small or medium-sized business with fewer than 500 employees and plan to develop and commercialize tech-driven innovation, you qualify. And further to the IRAP program is the Management Advisory Services Program. This is a federally funded initiative designed to help small, medium-sized enterprises in Canada access management consulting services that will enable improving your competitiveness, productivity, and growth. I'm just going to do a sound check. Just let me know if I start to retreat into the framework of sound. I'm trying to remember to keep my voice at an elevated level and project. The program, MAS, is supported through funding from the National Research Council of Canada's IRAP program. It's aided hundreds of businesses in growth and strategy across Canada for over 20 years. MAS is delivered by CMC Canada, which manages a roster of certified management consultants who provide 40 to 60 hours of business management advice and support to businesses referred by the IRAP program. NRC then assists in issue definition, priority setting, and action plan establishment for company management. MAS aims to help companies address management roadblocks that can prevent growth and delivers invaluable insights, strategic guidance, and state-of-the-art solutions. An eligible business can connect with marketing, financing, legal and other professional advice, problem identification and solving support, research and development support, technology partners, business and management skill development resources, knowledge transfer opportunities, and networking opportunities, as well as community-specific opportunity. Again, I'm going to list a number. Give a call to 1-877-994-4727 to get plugged in. It's a tremendous resource. So, tax credits. Tax credits are the amount a taxpayer can use to reduce the tax they pay on their taxable income. The more tax credits that apply to your business, the more you can reduce your corporate income tax. As such, Stantec recommends that you consult your tax advisor to incorporate tax credits as an overall approach to your particular tax scenario. It's interesting to note that tax credit programs exist with federal, provincial, and territorial governments. So knowing your region's government priorities and tax credit programs is an advantage to your corporate tax planning conversation. A question we can answer here is, what's the difference between a tax credit and a tax deduction? While you likely access tax deductions by listing your company's operating expenses, one must understand that the guidelines allow for any reasonable expense incurred to earn income. including sales tax like HST or interest paid on money borrowed for business services. One should also know the list of eligible expenses for your business. These can change over time, so it never hurts to check. You might even find a new eligible expense you weren't aware of before. Tax deductions are those eligible expenses reasonably incurred to earn income and are used to reduce the business's taxable income. Conversely, a tax credit reduces the amount of tax you pay on your taxable income. You may have also heard that a tax credit may be refundable or non-refundable. Let's take a look at the other types of tax credits and what they might mean to your business. Refundable tax credits are those credits that can result in money coming back to you in the form of a refund if the credit is more than your tax bill. An example of a refundable tax credit is the BC government's interactive digital media tax credit that reduces salary and wage costs used to develop interactive digital media products in BC. Non-refundable tax credits do not result in a refund. They can only reduce your tax payable up to zero. An example of a non-refundable tax credit is the BC government small business venture capital tax credit that grants investors in eligible small businesses a credit to claim against their tax bill. Investment tax credits, on the other hand, give investors an incentive to invest in a business activity, a region, or a sector. A business owner can negotiate from a position of strength, knowing which tax credits may be available to its potential investors. The investment tax credits like the green hydrogen and clean technology investment tax credit programs announced in 2022 have been hotly debated in the House of Commons, but are designed to incentivize the production of clean hydrogen, that is hydrogen conversion to ammonia to facilitate transport, or clean technology such as electrical, geothermal, or heat energy. With refundable tax credits between 15 to 50%, depending on the carbon intensity of the production process, public consultation and feedback are ongoing, and legislation is pending to address potential gaps identified to date. Another type of tax credits is a labor tax credit, which allows for a certain percentage of a salary to be tax-free. This tax incentive is designed to employ Canadians in Canada in certain regions or employment fields. I think of the Canada Heritage's film or video production services tax credit that is designed to enhance Canada as a location for film and video productions employing Canadians. Just as an example, you probably have seen that tax credit highlighted if you stay for the end credits of many, many movies. And of course, research and development tax credits allow a business to either deduct R&D expenditures from business income, provide an investment tax credit, or lower personal income tax bills. These tax credits are designed to encourage companies to innovate. Perhaps the most notable is the Scientific Research and Experimental Development Tax Credit, also known as SHRED. Another is the BC Small Business Tax Credit that allows for individuals and corporate investors to get a tax refund of 30% when they invest in a British Columbia small business that is registered as an eligible business corporation. But you may find others using the Business Benefit Finder when it's live. As you can see from some of these examples I've used, there are tax credit programs that can be a combination of investment tax credit that addresses labor or R&D or both, or it can be refundable or non-refundable. In any case, once you become aware of a tax credit program your business may be eligible for, you should consult your corporate tax advisor to integrate your approach to that particular tax scenario. So, to demonstrate value in the small, medium-sized enterprise space, we've gathered a few examples of NAFP in action just to give you a sense of how we've helped connect our clients to public funding dollars. This Fort White Alive Visitor and Interpretive Center was a grassroots community development idea. Stantec was engaged to develop concept design ideas for them, and ultimately the funding team identified GICB as being, or the Green Inclusive Community Buildings Program, to be an excellent fit for this work of designing a visitor and interpretive center. The overall funding requirement for the organization was $24.8 million, and the request submitted for the GICB application was for 12.4, so exactly half. And last October, we received notification that we received 100% of the amount applied for. And that enabled a provincial matching grant that covered another third, so that the Fort White Alive organization was left with only a quarter of the funding need coming from private contributions. It's pretty significant difference in their initial projections. Another example, and again, a community building, the Northern Buildings team worked on a feasibility study for the Heritage Repository for the Nunavut government in Nain, Newfoundland, and Labrador. The government approached NAFP to identify possible funding sources. They were looking for an estimated $1.9 million in estimated cost to construct a heritage repository where the remains of their ancestors would be collected and housed, as well as their cultural artifacts. To make a difference in such an endeavor, seeking $1.9 million, North America Funding Program, through our funding assessment tools and strategy, we're able to identify $125 million. So 125% more than they were looking for. This image in particular is of the Ilosuk Cultural Center, not the Nain Heritage Repository, as that work continues to be in development. And lastly, speaking about industry, our organization has worked with a large operation, multinational, and we are currently under contract with them to continue decarbonization work across their Canadian operations. In order to fund just one project, NAFP was able to put together an application requesting from the Green Industrial Facilities and Manufacturing Plant Program through NRCan. We submitted an application for $10 million of a $25 million project, de-risking capital investments that would result in decarbonization. And so others that we've looked at and been enjoying working with Our Pre-Nation Cultural Center in Winnipeg obtained $7.5 million in CERNAC funding. And those are some of the examples that I'm very happy and very pleased to share with you. I'm hoping that you have some questions that I can answer and that we might have a little bit of a discussion around some of the things that I've shared today.
Anybody have any questions for Glynis? If you do, you can put them in the Q&A or into the chat or raise your hand, whichever you feel most comfortable with. We'll give everybody a few moments to think of any questions that they may have. That was a lot of very interesting information. I did not know anything about any of that, so I'm definitely going to take a peek back at the slides, which we will share with everybody afterwards as well, and give it a deeper read. But that was very, very cool to know that there's all those different tools available. Sorry, Glynis, you're on mute. Hold on.
Sorry, my apologies. I'm here. I apologize. I was just saying that I'm really eager to go back to the Business Benefits Finder. There are so many opportunities that can be surfaced through using that finder. Are there any grants, tax credits, funding on your radar that are focusing on companies building their sustainability program? Yes, absolutely. In fact, many of the investment tax credits are aimed specifically at sustainability. So seeking private funding or private capital, you can often use those incentive tax credits as an incentive to your investors to attract outside money. But there are also a number of programs, and in fact, our recent analysis of the 2024 budget yielded 55 new funding opportunities or top-ups on a number of programs. What I'd love to do, Michaela, is share with you offline, and I can share just a handful. What is your favorite part of my job? Oh my goodness, I love all of it. It's never dull. There is always something new coming. I love digging into and researching and connecting the right dollars to the right projects. So if you notice the case studies that I shared with you, they tend to be cultural buildings. They tend to be investments in community and in grassroots initiatives. But I also advise large industry. I also advise communities, municipalities on how to build their incentive programs. So what can I say? The favorite part is sharing knowledge. It's sharing those opportunities. Yeah. Thanks for asking. It's a great one. What about specific funding for private companies who are looking to build monitoring on their environmental impacts, such as lowering emissions? There are programs, and I'm thinking of particularly through the Low Carbon Economy Fund, that there are specific streams to address early stage planning, so feasibility studies, pilot programs, those sorts of things. So I would definitely take a look at LCEF. I also love that we work in acronyms in my job, so we always have to interpret those acronyms. Low Economy Challenge Fund. So those are programs specifically around decarbonization, lowering emissions. I hope that's helpful.
And thank you so much, Glynis, for your informative webinar and all your presentation. We really appreciate it.